was a time before you came around. It all seemed so simple. My life was so buttoned down. But you stole a glance, threw a wrench in my place. Now it seems like my next move is in someone else's hands. You were easy to fall for, hard to let go. I just wanted you to need me more than you'll ever know. But that's not how it's meant to be. Still, this memory of you just won't leave. You were easy to fall for and hard to let go. So, let's talk about the making of a song. That was Easy to Fall For. And if you've been paying attention to any of my channels recently, you probably know that Easy to Fall For, the full band version, was released earlier this month on Spotify, Apple, all the streaming channels and whatnot. And I couldn't be more excited about it. It has been a really, really cool process to see all this come through. And I thought I'd kind of talk through a little bit about how the song came about and talk through about how the production process went. At the beginning of it all was kind of the idea, obviously. And I've told the story a bunch of times on different Facebook live shows and in concert, things like that, where it started off with something that I said on an offhanded manner to an ex-girlfriend of mine 10, 15 years ago, something like that. I'm from Rochester, New York originally, and I moved to San Diego in 2008. In the end of January is when I left Rochester. Before that, about a month and a half, 2 months before that, I was dating this amazing girl, and fell pretty hard for her pretty quickly too, which was exciting and fun and all the things, and but I was pretty clear with her that the intention for me was to move to San Diego, and I wasn't going to be around for very much longer. And we had some time together, and then she kind of decided, listen, it just doesn't make sense for me because you're leaving, you're moving, and so she moved on, and I can't say I blame her for doing so, and of course heartbroken at the time, but it's the way it goes, right? It's the nature of the beast. Well, fast forward a few years after all the awkward silences and awkward kind of run-ins when I would come back into town and things like that. She and I got together for dinner and drinks and just to kind of hang out and catch up a little bit. This was a couple years after our relationship had ended. And so we were both still single and, just kind of in that point where, hey, let's chat, let's talk. Why not? Right? What's the worst that can happen? So we got together and we were talking about our relationship, and I said at one point, I said, you were very easy to fall for, and that was it. We moved on, and we kept talking and whatever. I mean, we parted as friends, and now we run into each other from time to time now, and it's all well and good. Well, fast forward a bunch of years, and at this point, I'm married. This is probably a year and a half ago that this all came about, and my wife and I were sitting on the couch at my parents' house, and suddenly a commercial came on or something like that all of a sudden triggered this memory, and next thing you know, it was kind of, you've had those things before where all of a sudden you're just like right back to where you were. And it was one of those situations, and I had that memory that when I said you were easy to fall for, and now in this particular moment in my life, I'm writing songs. And I'm like, that's a great line for a song, and so I started writing it. The interesting part about that song, though, about the writing of that song, is that you tend to write heartbreak songs when you're heartbroken, or at least when you're not particularly happy. Well, how do you write a heartbreak song when you're happily married? Fortunately for me, I have the uncanny ability to put myself right back into kind of mental spaces where I used to be, but not always the healthiest thing in the world to do. So I decided that I was going to kind of pull back and figure out a way to write the song in a different manner. And so the song itself starts off with the good parts of the relationship, right? There was a time before you came around, but it all seemed so simple, my life was so buttoned down. But you stole the glance, threw a wrench in my plans. Now it seems like my next move is in someone else's hands. Right, so they're all there's the verses are kind of happy and kind of optimistic for the future, and then the chorus comes in and it's but that's not how it's meant to be. Still, this memory of you just won't leave. Right, and so it kind of takes a turn after that, after those verses. And so what I decided to do, what I ended up doing to write these songs, was use my relationship with my wife as as kind of the as the inspiration for the happy parts of the song. The hey, there was a time before you were around when things seemed so simple, and then you came around and kind of messed everything up, and it was all for the good, kind of a thing. Um, I use my relationship with my wife to inform those lines, but then I use my relationships with a number of ex girlfriends, including this particular one, that to inform the bad part, the bad parts of the song, which say what you will, it was an interesting way to write. So I wrote the song kind of, and then of course the bridge where it's now that you're out of my life. Every thought of you cuts like a knife. Every time that I walk out the door, feels like a roll of the dice. That specifically was about an ex-girlfriend of mine that was a very, very, very powerful, strong, and in-depth relationship that she and I had, and I think we both thought that we were going to end up together for a very, very long time, and obviously that did not happen. But after the first time that she and I broke up, I she moved on, and I got upset, and kind of was out for a walk, and remember every time this was literally the feeling that I had, even though that she had moved. She we were in Rochester. She ended up moving about about an hour and a half away, something like that, and so even though she had moved all that ways away, I still remember thinking that I'm gonna run into her and it's gonna tear me apart, and so that's where a lot of that came from. But so writing the song was kind of a cool, I don't know, it was kind of a cool revisiting of a lot of these things, all while being able to remember that we get better, and that we're able to move on, and we're able to make things happen. And so I wrote the song and ended up decided that I was going to put it on my on Stories from an Old Set of Strings, which was my debut album, and I loved it. I think it's I still love the song. I love the acoustic version. It's just two guitars and my voice, and I think it's really cool. Well, then I started working with a group called Musiversal, and they are it's a wonderful organization. They provide studio musicians all around the world for a low monthly cost, kind of a deal, and so I get to start creating music and with full bands and studio musicians and whatnot, and in ways that I never kind of got to before. And so I decided that I was gonna to start putting together some full band options for some of these songs, and I decided that Easy to Fall For was gonna be the first one.